All right. Good afternoon, Lawrenceburg. Blake Grooms, it's good to be with you. This is our bi-weekly law enforcement hour here on WDXE. Right now, rolling solo, waiting on the high sheriff and our guest to come on in. So come on in, turn it up. It's going to be a good time. The sheriff is running about 30 minutes late. That's the text message I just got. So we're going to do the best that we can. So as everybody has been watching the news lately, the hurricane that came through a few days ago has just really ran havoc on some of our communities, and got word the other day that several volunteers from our area has went east and went southeast to try to help some of these communities that's been devastated by the hurricane. Estimated, I think, they're still missing a few hundred people that are not accounted for. Heard this morning on Fox News that they still have over 1 million people without power, which is just, I know we're not in 95-degree weather right now, but when you don't have power for 4 or 5 days, it gets to you. So again, our thoughts and our prayers go out to all the families and people that have been affected by this. It's never a good thing when you hear about people losing their lives or being without basic utilities. But the good news is they say that toilet paper is not going to be affected by the strikes we got going on with our shipyards. So that's comforting to know. So if y'all have been watching TV, you know that it appears that Donald Trump has been going around to some of the communities that has been affected by our some of the communities that's been affected by the hurricane, and trying to show his support, which I think is really strong for him right now. On the news the other day, they were talking about how some of the other candidates hasn't even showed up, which I think is unfortunate. What better way to show not only your support for this country, but also to show your qualifications for a job for high office, if you're not even going to reach out personally and physically to some of these communities that's been affected. So not to jump off on politics, but that's just something that kind of struck me right from the get-go is who showed up when it counted and who hasn't. So again, those volunteers from our area that have went east, went southeast, to help these poor people out. My hat's off to you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I know we're going to be praying, again, not for only the victims and those who have suffered, but them volunteers as well. So that's that. I wanted to start off again by saying thank you. It's been busy in Lawrence County. Several things have happened. Several arrests have been made. It was not too long ago that an individual here locally thought it would be a good idea to go into one of our local gyms and go into a bathroom and steal somebody's wallet and then go run up some bills on credit cards. Luckily, officers that were involved were able to not only catch him, but to catch him within 15 minutes of the of the initial complaint by the victim. So to give you a short story of how that went down, a victim comes to the police department and says, "Hey, I was in this certain gym, and I go back to the changing room, and I realize that my wallet's not there." And while this individual is talking with law enforcement, he gets a notification on his cell phone that his credit card had just been used 2 minutes ago at one of our local commercial retail stores here in Lawrenceburg. Well, it was then that officers, headed out kind of quickly, and not long after pulling up into the parking lot, officers are observing this subject, who the description was given by the victim, walking out of this store, and it was one of them things where you just walk up to the guy and it's like, okay, you're under arrest. You know why you're under arrest, and handcuffs, pat downs, and in the back of a police car, you go. And so I'm real happy that these law enforcement officials was able to not only get stuff taken care of, but get it taken care of quickly. And the victim was able to get their wallet, their credit cards. Besides the initial charges on the credit cards, the victim was out nothing. And it's my understanding that because the credit cards was used fraudulently, that the victim will be getting their money back. So that was a pretty good deal for our community. This is the first time we've been on the air since the fair was here, and that was love to see it come into town, but love to see it go out of town even more. I don't know about y'all out there, but I spent way too much money and didn't feel like I got as much bang for my buck as I did last year. The food was always great. That is my children, of course, when they go to the fair, their favorite part of the fair is the rides, and I get it. I've been there before, but my favorite part of the fair is the food. It ain't the demolition derby, and I hope Russell Counts don't get mad at me. It ain't the tractor pull. I'm talking, I want the corn. I want the funnel cakes. I want the corn dogs, the hamburgers, the Polar sausage. I'm talking, I will literally spend as much money in 1 week at the fair than I do on myself all month long. So yeah, and had a little rainy weather there the last few days at the fair, and that was unfortunate. But at the same time, there's probably a few people out there that saved a little bit of money because they couldn't go to the fair and spend it. Speaking of the fair and law enforcement, I am happy to say that we had several law enforcement officers there at the fair this year. Some were in plainclothes and observing the actions of fairgoers. Had a few, I guess you could say, curious individuals that we tried to keep an eye on. Didn't know what their situation or deal was, but for the most part, nothing too drastic got out of hand at the fair. Had a good crowd. Had a real good crowd on some nights. But again, like to see it come. Love to see it go away, especially my pocketbook does. So hats off again to our local people who has stepped up and went east. I just got a text message from one of you. They're listening in and said thank you. It's really big. Not to beat a dead horse, but that is really big and it's not just first responders and emergency services. Um, it's not uncommon for something like this to happen in North Carolina, and you look up and you see utility trucks, power system trucks from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and that's really important because I think them guys actually fly under the radar more than they should. You know, you always see on TV whenever firefighters, especially firefighters, they you always see them on TV, which we love them, but they it's not a competition, fellas. Just keep that in mind. But anyways, so yeah, the utility guys, utility service people like that, they don't nowhere near get their recognition that they should. We were actually headed to Florida a few years ago for a vacation, and I can't remember if it was after Hurricane Michael came through. Or what hurricane? I just know it was, one of them deals where Cat 3, Cat 4 hurricane makes landfall, and it just destroys the place. Well, we're riding on down the road approximately 65 miles an hour because, you don't want to break that speed limit. And then we come up on this white snake of a convoy, and you start looking at some of the doors as you're passing these power system trucks, and some were saying Indiana, some were saying Ohio, and it was almost in awe how, these guys have been driving hours upon hours upon hours, and this was like in middle Alabama, so they had hours and hours to drive. And yes, I understand they was probably making some good overtime, but at the same time, I'm sure when they asked for volunteers, you had a lot of guys to raise their hand and not even think about money. So yeah, we are very fortunate to live in an area where we have a lot of people that will walk up to a police officer or walk up to a firefighter and say thank you for your service. But I encourage you, whenever you see some of our utility guys, and it's not just the power boys too. I'm talking about them guys that go out there and cut them trees that are either on lines or that have fell over roads and stuff like that. I'm talking about the water guys. I'm talking about the gas guys. Next time you see a utility personnel, tell them thank you too, because Lord knows when the police is needed, we're minutes away. But when your power is out, I don't know about you, but I'm sitting there, I'm aggravated that I can't go back to sleep because my fan's not running, or I've had to tell my son for the 6th time, do not open up that refrigerator door. The power is off. So yeah, as much as police and fire are needed, keep them power system boys in mind, because they're needed a lot more than they're appreciated. I promise. So yeah, busy week in Lawrenceburg. Had a few wrecks. Nothing major here in the city. And while we're talking about the city, I need to make a disclaimer that anything I say during this portion of the law enforcement hours are opinions and views of Blake Grooms. In no way, shape, or form are my opinion and views to reflect or to be considered the same opinion and views as Lawrenceburg Police Department or the city of Lawrenceburg. So yeah, law enforcement local, not a whole lot going on. Had a few I guess you could say policy changes at the jail. Normally, when our police officers write tickets, we generally put them in one individual's office door or another, but we got told that now we've got a new special box where we're supposed to put citations in. That way they can be properly taken care of by the sheriff's department and the clerk's office. So to all my trooper buddies out there, let's not try to just fill that thing up. Remember, Christmas is just right around the corner. And hey, speaking of Christmas, for a lot of our local listeners, you remember last year we had shopping with the sheriff, and we also had letters from Santa on the police department side. We will be doing that again. Remember, if you would like for your child to receive a personal handwritten letter from Santa, just come to the police department. That antique mailbox will be in the lobby just like it was last year. We're probably going to start this around the last week, maybe the last 2 weeks of November, because Santa had he had a hard time making sure that everybody got their letter, just because, and that's a good thing. We had a good turnout, and Santa had some real sweet letters. So yeah, keep your ears open. We will probably start doing that the 3rd or 4th week of November. Again, bring a self-addressed envelope with a stamp to the police department, which is across the street from the courthouse, 233 West Gain Street, and drop that stamped self-addressed envelope and letter in that mailbox, and we'll make sure that is rushed over to Santa at the North Pole, and get your young one a handwritten letter. And speaking of Santa, we had a few people in this community last year that helped Santa out in a big way. And those of you that are listening, you know what I'm talking about. We can't tell you thank you enough. Just like the folks who donated with shopping with the sheriff. So many people have had that privilege of getting chosen to shop with the sheriff, and some of them are our age or older, who have grown up and said, I was one of the lucky ones that got chose to do something like that when I was little. So this is why I want to help out and give back. So yeah, even though it's 2.5 months away, it's still just right around the corner. So keep shopping with the sheriff and letters from Santa in mind, because at the end of the day, we want to make our young ones happy, because they're our greatest asset in the world. So yeah. As far as calls go, last month we had approximately 1,300 calls, I believe. Still several domestics, several traffic accidents. I don't know why we're having as many traffic accidents in this area, but we are. Please, slow down. Life is going too fast as it is. Slow down. Put that cell phone down. My young people listening out there, please put that cell phone down. I can't remember where I heard the statistic the other day, but someone who routinely texts and drives has I think they said they had almost the same driving record. Now, this is older people. I say older, I say between 30 and 50. Out of that group, those people who were routinely texting while driving had the accident rate of a young person in their teens. Also, within that little a tidbit of educational driving information. They was also talking about that someone who uses their cell phone to look at something online or to text someone, they are distracted to the point where they're actually driving as someone who is intoxicated by drugs and alcohol. So yeah, put that phone down. We live in a pretty part of the world and country. Slow down, keep your eyes on the road, look around and take it in. But yeah, around 1,300 calls. Dog calls are still up. Got to keep them dogs on a leash. As the sheriff was going over not too long ago, if your pet is not properly secure and they get out and either bite someone or cause someone to get hurt, by the way the law reads, you could be liable. And I don't know about y'all, but the last time I had to take a young one to the ER, it was about a $1,400 bill, and I sure don't want to be paying $1,400 on somebody else's doctor bill because I can't keep my dog on a leash. So yeah, keep that in mind. We don't want nobody's dogs getting out and biting people. Not a tremendous amount of citations were written over the past month, and again, I guess that's a good thing. So a lot of people needed that money to go to the fair on. But yeah, a lot of calls, but nothing too serious. We did have a few fatality accidents. Some regarding some young people, which is very, very unfortunate. Nobody needs to pass away in a traffic accident or an ATV accident, especially a child. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to those families affected by the fatalities that's happened here lately. I was talking to a trooper, a good trooper buddy of mine, just the other day, and he was talking about how their motorcycle accidents are up here lately. And one of the things he asked me was to the next time we're on the radio to just ask people. Just to pay a little bit more attention, as the T-shirts that you see all over, well, I say all over town, that all over the place, that say bikers are dying to be seen, and I think that's a loud message, according to this trooper that I was talking to. A few of them were alcohol related, and they were not hit by oncoming traffic or distracted drivers, but that is, that's one thing that's very prominent whenever it comes to bikers being injured or killed on the road is persons vehicles pull right out in front of them, and it's almost like ringing a bell when you ask them what happened, and they say I didn't even see them. And then, you have to start asking questions like, well, how did you not see him? When, on a busy roadway, did you not roll down your window and listen to hear if anything was coming? Was you rushing? Was you on your phone? And you do have, a few people that will admit to using their telephone whenever they're involved in a wreck, but not always. So, when it comes to our biker group, for us busy motorists out there, just take a little time. Again, slow down, look at your surroundings. It may save a life. It very, very well may. So domestics, accidents, a pretty busy month. I was hoping that the sheriff would already be here because I'd like to hear his stats. They serve a lot of papers, and if if the sheriff's department pulls up to your driveway, it's not always a bad thing. So don't freak out. But you'll be surprised how many times they'll be there to just serve a subpoena on something, and people won't open up their doors, or whether it be something that they just need to get to them. Nothing really bad, but folks out there scared to open up their doors. If you ain't done nothing bad, you ain't got anything to worry about. We're there for a reason. So come on out and say hey. And think about it this way: if they have to come down to your house, like especially down south or something like that, 2 or 3 times, that is a lot of taxpayers' gas that's being wasted. And I don't know if y'all have been watching TV here lately, but especially up north in Washington, D.C., we've got a lot of unnecessary spending going on. So, yeah, don't like to see that happen here at home either. So, I was talking to John, our sheriff, the other day, and he was talking about how sometimes his guys have got to go to a house 2 or 3 times, and sometimes they don't. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If at least on a citizen level, try to help our guys save a little money and not be running around 5 or 6 days in a row trying just to get a piece of paper served. So looking here. Just for a moment, trying to pull our stats back up. Yeah, it's not loading. It's not loading like it should. But yeah. We've had some speed limit changes. Those who don't routinely travel 43 or South Locust from, say, the Crockett Hospital area to Leoma, we have a new 45 mile an hour speed zone, and that's important. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there who are not happy that the speed limit has been lowered a little bit, as the flashing signs indicate. But those that do travel through there every now and then or routinely, that's that little strip, for whatever reason, has had a few wrecks and a few bad wrecks. Wasn't that long ago that we had someone pull out in front of a motorcycle. Thankfully, that young person lived, but I myself have responded to some pretty nasty wrecks in that area. Wasn't that long ago that we had another wreck where the vehicle was basically flipping end over end. I'm not talking about like barrel rolling. I'm talking about flipping end over end, and luckily that person was wearing their seatbelt and they lived too. But yeah, keep in mind, at least routinely here lately, keep that on your mind, that speed limit has changed, and we want people to be cognizant of that change, because the whole purpose for that speed limit change, I believe, was to make that area safer. It's never a good thing whenever you get a call about a wreck in this particular area, and you hear the call out advise officers that someone has been ejected from a vehicle. It's not fun for the dispatcher to say, and it's not fun for law enforcement and emergency services to hear. So yeah, this is a way to slow people down a little bit, I'm sure, and be a little bit safer. I don't know if y'all heard about a Florida man. He led led Florida deputies on a chase that was one of their slowest in history. Says that the Florida man was involved in a hit and run before the pursuit. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office said that this was indeed one of the slowest police chases in history. I wish that guy would stay in Florida, but I wish some of our people around this area who don't like to stop for the police would take some of his advice. And I doubt anybody got seriously hurt in that little deal. But yeah, getting back to the speed limit. Keep in mind it's 45 right there from the hospital. I believe going south all the way to the south city limits there on 43. I don't know. I bet you I know one of the sheriff is late today, and that's going to be the first question I ask him whenever he walks in the door is, what did he shoot today? Today, I believe they had the shelters. I don't think it was the kid place. I think it was the shelters scramble at the golf course. And if it was, then I may excuse him for being a little late, because when it comes to the shelter and the kids' place that we're so lucky to have here in Lawrenceburg, there's not, besides the church business, there's probably not a lot more good work going on in our community than the work that comes out of them two buildings. For those listeners out there who are not familiar with the shelter or the kids' place, the shelter is a group who helps bring in battered women, women of domestic violence, them, and if they have children, and they put them in secure homes, places that are not known to the public, some places that are not really known to law enforcement. Because the way they look at it, one of the first things you got to do whenever it comes to protecting a battered spouse is remove them from that atmosphere. That way, the threat is not as imminent or immediate. So they're taken away from that atmosphere. They're placed in a secure location somewhere around Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, and then they start offering assistance and making plans and going forward with life in a safer setting. So just like I was talking about LUS earlier, there's a lot of people around this area that do not get the recognition that they need, and the shelter is one of them. They do a great job, great job. And as I mentioned, the kids' place that we have, it's a child advocacy center. So for our listeners out there who really don't know what a kids' place is, so let's say that there is a suspicion that we have a 9-year-old child that has been hurt. And when I say has been hurt, I mean has been hurt in a physical way. What we do is law enforcement has changed. Used to, we would try to send our nicest guy into the room to talk to the child and try to find out what happened. We don't do that anymore. We now have what we call forensic interviewers, and I don't know if we have any males in our area that's doing it, but I know the females that we have in our area that does it are phenomenal. I'm talking these ladies, they know their stuff. they're highly trained, and they care. So what we do is law enforcement, for the most part, we don't talk to these little people that much anymore. We'll get a few basics, and then we'll schedule a meeting with these forensic interviewers, and it is absolutely amazing what is brought to light, and it's even more amazing the help that it gives to law enforcement, because when you're dealing with children, in my opinion, you need to have your most trained, your most educated whenever it comes to speaking with children, because the last thing you want to do is have a small victim and not get to how they've been hurt, and also get to who has hurt them. And so, yeah, just like the shelter, our hats go off to the kids' place. I know whenever I was in the detective division, murder's bad. Homicide, you get to see some pretty nasty things over the years. But to me, it always broke my heart on the kid cases. Whether it be hitting a kid with a baseball bat or, something worse. To me, it was always the kid cases that got to me. Again, murder's bad. It looks bad, and you think about it and dream about it for a while. But the little people getting hurt, to me, that always affected me more. So yeah, our hats off to them. I hope they had a great turnout, and raised a lot of money, because Lord knows that's them services. They're free, to the public, but they're not free in general. It costs money to have lights on. It costs money to buy food. It costs money to train your staff. It's expensive. So those people who went golfing today and supported this really good cause, thank you. I'm sure that the shelter and the good folks that work over there at the shelter, really, really, really appreciate it. And Charlotte just texted me. I think she's what'd you shoot? What'd you shoot? Come on in. I told them, I was like, I don't know why the sheriff is late.
Are we on?
We're on. Yeah. I don't think I've ever talked this much in my life. My mama would probably disagree, but.
Well, let me start off by saying that I'm sorry. The scramble for the shelter, the domestic violence shelter, it took a little longer than what we anticipated, but it's for a great cause, and I never miss the shelter scramble. Just because, number one, it goes towards a really good foundation. Number two, we work closely with them, just like y'all do.
We were going over that with our listeners right before you walked in.
Man, I'm telling you what, they do so much for us in law enforcement. It's a great partnership, and I can't say enough positive things about the domestic violence shelter. When we're talking about boots on the ground, when we're talking about people that will come out at 2 a.m. and help you with a domestic violence situation. Yeah, they're the real deal. So anyway, they have a golf scramble every year, and I try to play in it. And we played pretty good. I mean, I don't have any complaints.
Did y'all win? Anything?
No.
You didn't? Mm-mm. That stinks.
Well, it's luck of the draw when they
put you in the brackets.
They do a bracket, and it's not about, in reality, it's not about winning something or whatever. It goes towards them. So, but I do like to win, and I hate to lose.
Right.
But anyway.
So we talked about how some of our good people here in Lawrence County have went east and southeast to help out in that devastating mess over there.
Yeah, so that started early for me this morning. You know, there's 95 sheriffs across the state, and it's the it's the TSA, Tennessee Sheriff's Association. It's our motto. Our motto is 95 strong. So we've got a really good group of sheriffs in office right now. I don't know all 95 of them, but I know a lot of them. And the ones that I know are very solid. And the Eastern Tennessee sheriffs, where the hurricane come through, they're in pretty bad shape. So I got a text message from a good friend of mine who's the Anderson County sheriff, and Sheriff Barker, and he sent out a text message to me and some of the other sheriffs over this direction in Middle Tennessee and said, hey, we need flashlights, flashlight batteries, and water. This is what we need for the sheriffs and the sheriff's deputies, sheriff's offices. So, and I forget how many people were included on that text message, but we all started chiming in right then. And I even told some people I may be headed to East Tennessee Saturday. But what we did is, me specifically, we have a rep with GT Distributors. GT Distributors is a supply company, and it's law enforcement. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I don't know if you know anything about Galls or Craig's Firearms or GT, but they're people that we use for supplies. They carry everything from guns to vests to pepper spray to boots to belts, whatever, you know. Yeah. And our rep, Jeff Poe, he's a great dude, and I've known Jeff for probably 7 or 8 years, and probably purchased tens of thousands of dollars in equipment through him. Anyway, I called him up and I said, hey, Jeff, I don't know if GT is doing anything right now for law enforcement in East Tennessee, and they're based out of Hamilton County, right out of Chattanooga. I said, but I just got a text message from some of the sheriffs over in East Tennessee, and they need some help. And he said, let me do some checking. So he messaged me back, and he says, no. He says, we're not. What do they need? We're ready to come through. So I said, they need batteries and flashlights and batteries, because they still have an effort going on over there. They're still recovering bodies. I mean, some of the Unicoi County, I think, was one of the big ones that got hit, and they just don't have the lights to stay out all night.
The lights are not lasting as long as the people.
Their batteries aren't staying charged, and you got to be able to see when you're, because this is 24/7. You know, they're not going home and going to bed at night and coming back at daylight. This is 24/7 trying to recover these recovery efforts. But anyway, so I connected him with the Anderson County Sheriff, and I got a text message earlier, and the Anderson County Sheriff said, hey, man, he's coming through. He's getting us what we need. I also contacted Lawson's in Loretta and talked to their store manager, and I said, hey, do you work with a distributor? Is there somebody that you sell flashlights? I said, I need flashlights. He said, let me do some talking. Let me see what I can find out. And it hasn't come through yet. I have not got the text message or the call, but he talked to a rep with Cyclops flashlights. Don't know nothing about them. Don't know where they're made or whatever.
I've never heard of them.
But this rep's saying, yeah, we can help. So I'm gonna get them in contact with the East Tennessee sheriffs, and hopefully we get this. But
so hold on, I'm going to interrupt you there, because I mean we don't want to miss a prime opportunity. So we got a lot of people out there listening right now. So if somebody wants to go buy some things for your group to ship east or to take east, now are you looking for just flashlights with rechargeable batteries? Are you looking for just good flashlights with D-cell batteries? If there's some people out there that want to help and want to go get something, what's your advice on that?
Well, right now, my sheriff's office, we're not taking any donations. We're
Okay.
not taking any money up right now, just because of it's a little bit too big with logistics right now. And I think Jim Fleeman with Fleeman Carriers, I think they're taking over a tractor trailer full of essentials
Okay.
headed over to East Tennessee. I was texting him this morning. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to overwhelm an area with too much. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
I got you.
What I'm doing is I'm going through our distributors and getting them in contact with the sheriffs over there. I'm kind of the middleman.
middleman.
Yeah, getting it coordinated through them because they know what they need and
Right.
they know where they need it. I don't. I would love to be able to get a 35-foot trailer, enclosed trailer, loaded down with essentials. But I mean, in reality, I don't know where to go with it at this time. So I'm just putting them in contact with the sheriffs over there. But I think people are under the assumption right now that since it's been what's it been? It's been a week or 10 days since the hurricane has come through.
I think it.
I don't remember.
What was it? Thursday?
Maybe so.
Yeah, so about a week. Yeah.
But and I've been looking at some pictures of some of the first responders over there, and whole towns, whole neighborhoods are gone. And what they have left is a huge pile of debris
And mud.
and they're having to sift through it. If they have a cadaver dog or a canine dog or whatever that shows an interest in an area, I mean, it takes some hours to get through there. From my understanding, there's vehicles. They recovered a body of a female, and I don't know how long ago it was. And she had 2 or 3 of her kids with her.
Oh, mercy.
So they recovered her, but they haven't recovered her kids. So there's this huge effort over there to recover these bodies, and they're just running out of flashlights. They can't see. So anyway, that was the big thing that they were really pushing this morning in the group text was that's what they needed. So I feel a lot better after hearing that GT's stepping up and they're gonna get them some lights, and then hopefully this company Cyclops comes through and helps them out. But it's a sad deal, and
one of the first things that I just got aggravated about, and not that I've got the right to get aggravated, but one of the first things that just aggravated the far out of me was less than 24 hours later. You had some people on a certain side of the aisle talking about how, if we didn't have such a problem with climate change and global warming, and if we were greener and so on and so forth like that. I mean, and where I got aggravated was here we are. We've got 200 people dead. We've got, at one time we have 700 people in that area, North Carolina, Tennessee, 700 people in that area missing, 1.5 million without power. And you're over here chirping that maybe this could have been avoided, or maybe this wouldn't have been as bad as if we didn't have global warming, and climate change. So, that. What are you talking about getting? I had turned the TV off. Walked in the kitchen and fixed me a sandwich.
Yeah, you can't focus on some of these idiots that try to put the blame on the weather. I mean, you can't blame the weather. The weather's going to happen whether it doesn't matter. It's hurricane season. And,
right.
I think there was some talks that there's another tropical depression or something that's brewing in the Gulf that could turn into the same thing. Lord, I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I hope it doesn't just compound the problem that's already there.
The last I seen, it was like a 30-something% chance that it was definitely going to turn into a decent hurricane. So I hope.
That's the thing about Tennessee. Tennessee, it's the volunteer. They call us the volunteer state for a reason, because we all come in and help out when we're needed. But I wish I could do more like I said, I wish I had an enclosed trailer with 30 totes of nothing but lights and batteries,
Right.
that I could take over there. But we're working on it, and I know they appreciate everything that we can do for them.
So I know you said you were basically the middleman between some of this. Do you have any thing to give our people around here? Let's just say, some of our I guess you could say more prominent financial stable people in our area. Let's say somebody said, you know what, I want to send a box truck of cased bottled water. Who would they need to get in touch with, Sheriff?
Probably through our emergency response people here.
So like Shelton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think Shelton's leaving Saturday. They've deployed him and some other people over there to help with getting some internet back up. You have to understand that those areas over there, as of right now, they don't have nothing.
Right.
They don't have running water, and they don't have electricity, and they don't have internet. Some of those areas that would really hit, and you take for granted that it's not that big of a deal, but it is. When you do without, you realize.
So funny. I'm telling you, the stuff we're talking about now, I've already went up, talking about how, it's expected for police, fire, EMS for, to lace up their boots and go volunteer. But everybody forgets about the power system. Mm-hmm. You get ticked off when the police is, 15, 20 minutes later after you called them. But it's like when your power's off and you're sitting there and, like I told them earlier, I can't get in my refrigerator and fix my sandwich how I want to because I can't let all that cool air out. And I'm like, where's the power system? I mean, they're just, they're more valuable than they are appreciated. So do we have any of our guys from here going over?
We do. We had not to the best of my knowledge, there's not any law enforcement, but there's some volunteer firefighters, swift water rescue.
What about power system?
That's already been over. I don't know. I don't know if they've been activated to go over there or not. I'm sure if they haven't, they probably will be. We're still in the recovery process.
Right.
We haven't got to the point where we're at the cleanup process. We're still in the recovery. Priority one is giving some of these families closure,
right,
and finding their family members that they don't know where they're at.
I know it's been 7 days, but I hope some that are missing are still hanging in there.
Wouldn't that be a cool story?
That would be absolutely.
Yeah,
they was talking about one guy was hanging on and hanging in a tree for 8 hours, and then I think the tree finally toppled over and they lost him. That's got to be horrific. I mean, just to see that water coming up. I mean, you're climbing that tree.
Well, I remember when we had the flood. What year was that? Was that in 2008? I'm talking about when the tractor trailers was floating down I-24.
Oh,
and when Bass Pro Shop got flooded, that I think it was in 08 or 09 maybe.
I think that sounds right.
And the reason I remember that is because I'd bought some river lots on Buffalo River, just over in Lewis County. And we bought them and spent a bunch of money, fixing them up, sowing them with grass. We had concrete pads poured on them so we could pull our campers down there. Had power run down there. Had a phone line run down there so we could make calls.
Y'all some high business for that part in Lewis County.
Yeah, man, we did, and it was so nice. It was such a nice part of Buffalo River. Well, we had the flood come through, and I'm wanting to say it was in 09, 08 or 09. It's whenever, and I keep going back and remembering when the trucks were floating down I-24 when Bass Pro Shop and all that at Opry Mills got flooded out. But anyway, I got a call from the guy that had the lot beside me, and it was the morning of when we were supposed to get the most rain. We'd gotten some rain that day before, and I'd went down there and looked, and the water had gotten out of the bank. We good?
Yep.
The water had gotten out of the bank, and it had gotten right up to my lot, right up to my concrete.
And didn't go no further?
That was the day before. So I went down there and checked it, and everything was good.
Just making sure that is okay right there.
So I get a call from, or no, I see the guy that's got the lots beside me the next morning. I'm getting some gas, and he said, hey, he said, have you been down there? And I says, no. And he said, well, you probably want to go down there and get your camper. And I said, really? And he says, yeah. He said, there's a lot more rain coming. So it was starting to rain that morning. And by the time I got down there, I mean, it was just pouring.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, them huge raindrops. I mean, it was pouring. So I get down there, and there's a low spot before you get to my river lot. And there's water coming across that low spot. And it's maybe knee deep. And I'm in my 4-wheel drive, half-ton truck, and I just kind of zip through it. There's a sense of urgency when I get down there because I see how
quickly
much
it's rising.
Yeah. So I back up to my camper, and I'm getting it hooked up, and you can hear the river. You can hear Buffalo River surging. And when you'd see it surging, you could see it coming down that bend. And I mean, it wasn't a wave like a white capping wave, but you could see a swell.
Right.
And you could hear it. I mean, it was crazy.
And that's a scary feeling.
Sure it is. So I'm in panic mode, right? And I'm hooking up my camper, and I've got some outdoor furniture, and I'm just throwing it in the back of the truck, just as hard as I can get. By the time I got hooked to my camper and pulled out onto that little gravel road that goes down there, and I get to that low spot, it's like chest deep.
Oh, my gosh.
So I locked my truck in, locked it in low lock, snatched the shifter down in low, and I gassed it. I stood on it as hard as I could. And I went across that. Well, water is halfway up the door of my camper.
So you can say your camper wasn't floating?
The camper's trying to go.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it's trying to go downstream. And I got that Hemi just roaring in that truck. I got rooster tails coming out the back where it's just blowing water out of the pipes.
Oh my God! I bet your heart was beating.
Oh, dude, it was So finally, I catch enough traction and I pull it out of there. Well, I get out, but the next day, I get down there. My river lots, I lost like 10 feet of bank. So my 3/4 acre lot.
Right.
Went to a 1/4 acre lot. My concrete pad, water got under the concrete pad, flipped it over, busted it all to crap. My satellite dish that I had down there for TV, never saw it again. The power meter that was 20 feet up or 12 foot up the pole that we had to set the power meter at, everything was gone. It was like the finger of God just, took his thumb and just wiped it away.
Wiped it away.
And it was gone. So I'm saying that to tell you, this is 100 times worse.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's whole towns that are gone over there. They're just a pile of rubble. So anyway, all that to say that we're doing our part.
Well, good.
We're trying to give them as much supplies as we can. And as far as donations go, I would say get on the FEMA website or something, look it up and see where they can take some stuff if anybody wants to donate some stuff.
All right. Well, listen, y'all be careful.
Sorry I was late.
Hey, no, that's great. Again, you was playing.
Maybe. I don't know. I saw it there the other day. So I don't know if it's still there.
Tomorrow.
So there's a truck at the high school.
That may be Fleeman's.
That
through the Ayers Foundation at the high school.
Okay. All right. So there's a truck at the high school if you want to send some stuff east to these victims and first responders that are over there helping these victims. Go to Lawrence County High School and show how much you love our people here in Tennessee and North Carolina. All right, Sheriff. Have a great day. Say bye.
I appreciate you.